Hey tennis fitness fans and supporters, Aaron here from A to Z Strength. In this video series, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and also some exercises on how to strengthen your shoulder blade by using a couple of modalities. One is isometric, essentially that is holding your body weight in specific positions which is causing a resistance in the joint or the muscles. And then the second way is by using some exercise or resistance bands. So the reason why I like using both of these modalities for strengthening the shoulder is because you can actually put the shoulder in really nice positions in terms of, say, the scapula and your humeral joint, so the top of the humerus. And from there we can actually start giving it some load, which will then help strengthen it and help stabilize the joint. So obviously with a strong and stable joint through lots of ranges of motion will make your shoulder more robust when it comes to playing your tennis game. So these 5 exercises can be used on the court, they can be done at home, and they're going to be done along a continuum which is going from easiest to hardest. So the first exercise will be an isometric one, so we'll start with that and then we'll progress to the harder ones. So stay with me, hope you enjoy it, and let's get on to the first exercise. So with this first exercise, it's called a TWY. The reason why it has those letters is because essentially your arms and your head is going to be creating. So I'm going to use a bench for this, but you can actually get the same benefit from being on the ground. Just for this kind of example, I'm just going to do it from the bench. So what you're going to do is lay flat. If you're on the ground, you're going to be lifting your chest up. Just I'm on the bench, so I'll be doing the same thing. So I've got a stopwatch here, and each movement, so holding of the T, the holding of the W, and the holding of the Y needs to be done for 10 seconds. So I've got a stopwatch here, and I'm going to do this continuously for 1.5 minutes. So I'm getting 3 rounds of each movement. So how it works is I press start, and then I'm going to go do the T first. So T is first, my arms are extended out wide, my thumbs are turned up towards the roof, so I've externally rotated my shoulders. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades. After 10 seconds, I change to a W. Exactly the same thing, thumbs facing up. Squeeze my shoulder blades. After 10 seconds, I'm going to change to a Y. Thumbs stay up. It gets quite demanding after a while. From here, going out, back out wide, starting again. So back to the T. Really focus on squeezing my shoulder blades together so my scapula is retracting into the spine. Back to a W. Same thing, elevate my elbows, squeeze my shoulder blades. And this last one, I'm going to go back to a Y. Really focus here that you've got full pressing of the hands, thumbs are facing up, and nice work. So that was 1 minute there, so that was 2 full rounds. So you guys will go for an extra round, so it's 1.5 minutes. So if you want to slowly increase the target time, maybe start with 1 round, next set do 2 rounds, third set do 3 rounds. So you're moving up towards that 1.5 minutes. So you can see just with my shoulder joint, it's nice and stable. I'm teaching it the right positions of how the scapula should be retracted to each other, and it's nice and safe, but I'm getting quite an overload and it's quite a demanding exercise. So you guys can control it. It is quite easy, but once you get used to it and you add it to everything else, it will start to get a little bit more demanding. So the second exercise I'm going to take you through is called a band pull apart. So depending on your size and your weight and your age and your strength, is going to depend on which band you can use for this. So if you are a younger person or you're reasonably light, then my micro band would work for this. If you are reasonably strong, reasonably heavy, maybe a stronger female, then I would recommend the mini power band. And then if you are stronger and you get a little bit more weight to you, then I would recommend using the medium power band, the small power band. So the micro, the mini, and the small power band. So what I'm going to do, I'll use the mini power band. And you can do this standing, you can do this half kneeling, you can do it seated. So it's really the variations up to you and whatever the environment you are in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to puff my chest up, get a little bit of back extension, draw my abs in. So the band's going to be fully extended with my arms. And what I'm going to do is poke my wrists and my thumbs away from each other. And then all I'm going to do is keep that wrist position and bring the band to my chest. So nice and simple. So I'm not letting my hands come all the way in. I'm going to keep a little bit of resistance, face going outwards, so then the band has always got tension on it. And then poke my thumbs away, come back in. Poke my thumbs away, come back in. So what I don't want you guys to do is flex your elbows at all. Full extension, and just do that for reps, say 12 to 15 reps, and we'll just build from that. And this is the easier of the two band pull aparts that I will show you. So combine that with your TWYs, and then we'll just progress from there. So the third exercise is actually going to be a variation of the band pull apart. So the difference between this is that we're going to be standing on one section of the band and then holding our arms out fully extended with the other band, or the other half of the band, sorry. So I would only do this with the micro band and the mini band, just because the medium one would be it's probably too much tension for anyone, regardless of how strong you are. So I would do younger athletes and I guess females, and then the male athletes for this one. So I'll use the mini band again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stand on the band, and exactly the same technique now. I'm going to be lifting my arms up, poking my thumbs away, and then doing my pull apart from there. So positionally, just sink in a little bit with the legs, bum poke back a little bit just to create a stable platform. So the difference here is as I've raised my arms up, I've now got the tension of the band pulling me down, plus the tension of the band when I'm separating my hands. So I've got downward pressure here to resist against, and then now I've got pressure coming in with the band under tension. So these two forms of tension I've got to overcome here, all the while keeping a nice stable shoulder joint. So exactly the same thing, 12 to 15 reps. Focus on your wrist position, really get the band to your chest. This here is really quite demanding, so take your time with it, work your way up to 15 reps, but this is probably the one where we start to get a little bit of a burn, so you guys can control it and just add this. So the third exercise to our little sequence, and we've got 2 to go after this. So this fourth exercise is going to be slightly more demanding because we're going to be adding a pressing motion while we've got some band tension as well. So I'm using the micro and the mini band here. So all we're going to be doing with the mini band, we're going to loop it around an anchor point. This could be one of the poles from the net on the tennis court. It could be one of the, I guess, the chain links from the fence. It's totally up to you, or it could be the anchor point of the gym that you're training in. So you're going to loop the mini band around the back, and then you're going to poke the micro band through that just to create an anchor point. So mini band for the anchor point, and then the micro band is going to be your handles. Really important to have it this way because the micro band needs a little bit more flexibility because that's what your hand is holding. So you're going to step back from your anchor point. You can control the resistance by how far back you come. From here, you're going to move your hands into a shoulder press position, sink into your knees a bit so you've got a nice stable platform, draw in your abs, and you're going to be pressing all the way up, all the way down. The whole time squeezing our shoulder blades together just to get that isometric contraction going there. Plus, we're going to press up in the air now. Now this is quite hard because we've got a little bit of tension pulling my arms forward, so I have to resist against that. Plus with that pressing motion, the further up I get, the lever is extending, therefore there's going to be a lot more resistance and pressure on the joint as we extend that lever and press up above our head. So take your time, same thing, work your way up to about 12 to 15 reps, and then we'll add that to the other 3 and build our little shoulder circuit that way. And so the fifth and final exercise for our little shoulder circuit is going to be called a triple threat. So exactly the same setup that we did for exercise 4. So we're going to loop our mini band around the back of the anchor point or through the anchor point. We're then going to put our micro band through that to create our handles. So there's 3 parts to this. So it's going to be the pull, it's going to be the external rotation, and then it's going to be the press in the air. And you come back down exactly that same way. So my elbows are quite high on the pull, squeezing my shoulder blades together, externally rotating and keeping my elbows still at the same time, and then pressing up. So this is by far the most demanding one because there's quite a few movements going within the shoulder joint before we actually do that press, as well as having the band tension to overcome as well. So work your way up to about 12 to 15 reps again. and I guarantee you'll get a little bit of a burn. So in terms of how the circuit should go, do all 4 exercises back to back to back, and work your way up to say 3 to 4 rounds on that rep range that I prescribed. Guarantee if you do this right and you set the body in the right positions, you'll notice some big difference, and I guarantee it will help you out and make your shoulder joints a lot more and the muscles around it a lot more robust, which will only help your tennis game.